Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Turn 3 Racing Network. As tonight, we are here at South Boston for the Eddie's Meat Market 125. And man, oh man, are we in store for some spectacular short racing action tonight. As always, in the booth with me, I have the highly esteemed Kelly Dahl. Kelly, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty great. Been looking forward to this race. I mean, a lot of the drivers, I'm sure, are not looking forward to this race. I mean, there's been a few of them saying that it's going to be very difficult to pass this week, but I think what we've seen every week is it's just kind of hard to pass in general in this league.
Yeah, a lot of great drivers out there, and short tracks do tend to make it hard to pass. Not a lot of room on the track to really take advantage of someone's misfortune, as their straightaways are so short. And all that being said, it's still going to be a race that these drivers have to compete in.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of these drivers are going to be competing very strongly, as this is the second to last race in the regular season. 2 weeks from now, we'll have an off week, but then the week after that actually is when we're going to be starting the chase. So it's like kind of a last chance for some of these guys that are kind of on the bubble to make their way into the chase.
Well, drivers are wrapping up practice here, the first warm-up session, and then we're gonna roll into qualifying. But before we do that, let's look at our point standings. Top of the leaderboard is Stefan Marinak at 140 points above the cutoff line. Bill Martin at second, 110 points above, and Joe Schaefer, the third driver in that 100 points category, above the cutoff line. But a big name right now, Kelly, below the cutoff line. That is in 11th spot, we find Justin Fuller.
Yeah, Justin Fuller missed a couple of the races in these past few weeks. However, even though with those races that he missed, he's only 4 points away from the chase. I mean, out of the 6 races he's been in, he's been top 5 in 4 of them. So that really helped his point standings. I mean, I think if he had been there for these other 2 races, he'd probably be up in the top 5 in points. So Justin Fuller is here tonight, so expect him to really be trying to make up that lost ground.
South Boston is the track of tonight's action. And these super late models here at South Boston, we've been watching these guys turn some practice laps, and it's been entertaining. Kelly, what can we expect out of these drivers tonight?
I've heard from a few of them that there may be some different lines to start, or maybe even a single line, but as the track kind of cools off, as I believe we're going to be going into the night. Yes, double checking the sim time, we are going to be going into the night, so the temperatures will drop and maybe some different lanes will open up. So we'll have to see if which one's going to be the more dominant one, the bottom lane or the top lane.
All right, tonight's race is brought to you by the Western Super Series. Our qualifying drivers are going up for the Arts Barbershop Quick Clip Time Trial Award. That'll take place here in about a minute and a half. And also tonight's race is fueled by Verge, and Kelly, I think you have more on that.
Yeah, the Upstate Racing League is presented by Verge Currency. Verge is a cryptocurrency designed for people and for everyday use. It improves upon the original Bitcoin blockchain, aims to fulfill its initial purpose of providing individuals and businesses with a fast, efficient, and decentralized way of making direct transactions while maintaining your privacy. So a huge thanks to Verge Currency. They're pretty much the main reason why we're able to come out here week after week and bring this show to everyone.
So with 50 seconds left in this first warm-up, what are some trends you're seeing here so far in South Boston?
And taking a look at the practice times real quick, I mean, our top 3 is Guillaume Fortin, Bill Martin, and Chris Stump. I mean, those are drivers that are usually quick week after week, and a very good time from Guillaume. So we'll have to see if any of these guys are going to be able to bring those fast laps into the qualifying, or if the weather change in this previous hour of practice has maybe mixed up the track just a little bit too much, so they can't quite get their lap down in qualifying. So things may kind of shake up. But another thing to keep in mind is our top 8 are inverted, so you can run the fastest lap time, but that's actually only going to let you start 8th. So you want a fast time, but you don't want to try to go too slow, because the top 10 are guaranteed to make the show.
Switches over. Drivers got to roll out quickly. We'll try and bring them to you as they turn in their lap times, but we can't get through everyone in 2 minutes. So let's check in on some of our drivers we haven't talked about tonight. The 42 of Brett Bartels, he is starting to roll out. He's looking for a good run out here tonight here in South Boston.
I'm sure Bartels would love a fast time here tonight. He's sitting in 21st, 98 points back from the chase cutoff, so he's one of those guys that is likely going to be sitting out of the chase, but I'm sure he would love a good starting spot here tonight.
Lap times rolling in very quickly right now. Top position going to the 20 of Justin McDuff. He's got Arts Barbershop on the side. He is trying to win that award. Right now he's getting it done with that top spot.
Yeah, Bill Martin is currently holding on to the 2nd spot. A lot of these drivers are actually running faster times in qualifying than they ran in practice. Justin Fuller just bringing in a time just barely slower than Bill Martin, and that's definitely what he needs to really increase his chances of making the chase.
Joe Schaefer in the 6. He's rolling out for his qualifying time. Looking at 30 seconds left here for qualifying. Then we roll into our Western Super Series heat races. 2 heat races on order for tonight. Top 10 do advance here in this time trial directly to the main event, and then everyone else will sort themselves through these heat races. 10 seconds left. Who you watching there, Kelly?
Al Smith just finished his lap. We still got Chris Stump on the track. I don't believe he's put in a time yet. Well, he's now crossing the start-finish line, and he'll actually take the fast time at the very last second. And not only does he take the fast time, he smokes the 2nd place time.
All right, so we are rolling into our first heat race of the night, brought to you by the Western Super Series. Fixed super late models on Tuesday nights, brought to you by the people of Narrative Coffee Company. And let's roll into our starting lineup for heat race number 1. On pole for this one is the 6 of Joe Schaefer and the 11 of Brian Hacker.
Sitting in row number 2, we're going to see Hugo Paquette and Andy Lambert.
Row 3 will be the 90 of Matt Roll and the 42 of Brett Bartels.
Row 4, we're going to have the 1 of Jeremy Carpenter and the 68 of Ty Cole.
And Brian Jones scheduled to be on this heat race, but not making the call for this one. Maybe he'll join after the drop of the green flag. I don't know. Maybe his car didn't start. Who knows? All I know is he's not out there right now.
Yeah, so only 8 cars going to be rolling off for this heat race. First pace lap done, so that means lights are out on the pace car, and we're going to get our first taste of racing action here tonight.
Joe Schaefer in the 6, Brian Hacker in the 11. Going to start on the front row for this heat races. The heat races are going to be very intense. Everyone is going to be making it into the show. That doesn't mean that they're not out to try and win this heat race. Here we go. Pace car down and away. Green flag is out. And we are underway for our first heat race. Side by side, the 11 and the 6. And the 11 with an outstanding run off the corner. Going to get into the wall a little bit. Joe Schaefer giving him just enough room that they did not spin each other out.
Banging doors again on the front straightaway is the 6 and 11. As both of them running 2 different lines, but keeping it pretty even. 11 again scraping the wall just slightly, but that's enough to allow that 6 car to just get a nose ahead now on the front straightaway. But still, neither of these cars wanted to give up an inch, and I think that's annoying Hugo Paquette, because he looks to have some speed, but he just has a rolling roadblock in front of him as those 2 cars continue to battle side by side.
We go on board with the 33 of Hugo, as he is a Brian Rogers Motorsports Rookie of the Year. Oh, as the 11's gonna get turned, the 6 and the 11 get together, and now Brian Hacker pointed the wrong direction. We stay green. Brian grabs a gear and gets rolling, but now the 6 of Joe Schaefer under heavy attack by the 33 of Hugo.
And unfortunately, that also caught the 42 of Brett Martel as he was spun off the racetrack and onto pit road. So that's going to take the 42 out of contention here in this heat. And as you said, that 6 car now of Joe Schaefer just having to defend against that 33 machine.
Sitting in third is the 72 of Andy Lambert. He is comfortably in third place as he has a 1 second gap back to the 90 of Matt Roll. And looking at 8 laps to go at the line, this heat race is winding down quickly.
Yeah, laps tick by very fast when they're only 14 seconds long. Joe Schaefer still holding a 0.3 of a second lead over that 33 of Hugo Paquette. None of those two are starting to run away from Andy Lambert, it seems. It's about over half a second now, 0.7 of a second separating Paquette and Lambert. But the gap between Schaefer and Paquette does not change on that last lap.
Looking at 6 laps to go this time. Drivers all single file right here. Closest battle we got is between first and second, and with 5 laps to go, drivers maybe just trying to settle in and maybe accept their fate here.
Yeah, if there's not really much battling going on the track, as all of these guys are super spread out. A second separates Lambert and Roll, almost a full second separates Roll from Carpenter, and again 0.7 of a second between Carpenter and Cole. So everyone's fairly spread out except for this battle for the race lead, and Paquette now starting to lose that battle a little bit, dropping back to 0.5 of a second. That time able to gain a little bit of that time back, but as the laps tick away, he really doesn't have any more time to go after Schaefer. He has to hope for a mistake from Schaefer, as we're now 2 laps to go in the first heat.
Brian Hacker has pulled on to pit road. Gonna call it a done race for him in this heat race, but white flag in the air for the 6 of Joe Schaefer as he is pulling away now from the 33.
Yeah, Paquette seems to have eased off a little bit, just wanted to take the safe route and make it to the start finish line. Coming off of turn 4, Joe Schaefer is going to win heat race number 1.
Hugo Paquette second, third Andy Lambert, Matt Roll fourth, fifth going to Jeremy Carpenter, Ty Cole following him in heat race number 1. Heat race number 2 starting to take to the grid, and we got some pretty solid drivers in heat race number 2 as well.
They're going to be rolling off in row number 1. Pole position goes to Jimmy McIntyre Jr., and on his outside is going to be AJ Hamel.
Row number 2 will be Matt McLean in the 88 and the 17 of AJ Rogers.
Row 3 on the inside, we will see Al Smith Jr., and to his outside, Brian Rogers Jr.
And then row 4 will be the 5 of Scott Austin and the 71 of Jeremy Watkins.
Another good heat race shaping up. We'll have to see if this battle in the front here between the 81 and the 18 is going to be the same as the battle we saw in the first race between the 6 and the 11 car. I mean, we saw those guys go side by side for the longest time.
The 81 has a very unique phrase on the back of his back bumper. Let's ride on aboard for this start with the 88 of Matt McLean. McIntyre in control of the field. Green flag is out. 15 laps for heat race number 2. And Jimmy McIntyre on the inside as Matt McLean trying to follow him. The 18 of AJ Hamel on the outside, hanging tough there, as we saw earlier with the 6 and the 11.
Yeah, It seems like that high lane is the lane you want to be in, because they get a huge run off of the corner, allows them to kind of surge ahead, but we haven't quite seen that outside line clear just yet. Now the 81 able to fight back a little bit on the inside on that last lap, and this field is raining. Oh, big a tap between the 17 and the 18. That's going to cause the outside line to check up, and that's going to allow Jimmy McIntyre to take the race lead solidly, and now it leaves Matt McLean in second place.
So McIntyre leading the race right now. Matt McLean second, AJ Hamill third, Al Smith in a battle for that third position. He is on that inside line, and the 17 of AJ Rogers going to round out your top 5 here in heat race number 2. A lot of action going on this South Boston Speedway.
AJ Hamill still trying to win this battle on the outside. Going to not quite clear Al Smith this time around. Now coming off of turn 2, he is going to clear that 96 machine, and starting to seem like that outside line is going to be a little bit stronger. Now we're going to see AJ Rogers try to make a move on the outside of Al Smith.
Rogers peeking to the outside, but now he's going to tuck in as we have 9 laps to go here in heat race number 2.
Bit of a battle shaping up out front as Jimmy McIntyre and Matt McLean kind of opening up a small gap over the rest of the field, and Jimmy's just trying to keep that 88 machine behind him as McLean trying to figure out a way that he can maybe pass the 81 machine. It may seem like he's got a lot of time, but with the way these laps tick by quickly, he really doesn't have all that much and has to make a move soon.
Everyone single file down the backstretch. The 5 machine of Scott Austin thought about trying to make a move to the inside of AJ Rogers, but Austin right now in 6th place. Behind him is the 12 machine of Brian Rogers. That is 7th place, and 8th place going to the 71 of Jeremy Watkins. And Watkins, I'd say Watkins is having a comfortable race right now. He is not up in this mix. If everyone gets into an incident in front of him, it will be a traffic jam. Jeremy Watkins might come out smelling like a rose.
Yeah, he's definitely going to have the time to slow down, but he's losing more and more ground. I think that 71 machine is just struggling here at this racetrack. But taking a look at our battle, it's shaping up. I mean, Matt McLean's getting closer and closer to McIntyre, but he has to start to make a move soon, as now down to lap 13 of 15. And that 88 machine is getting pretty close to the bumper of the 81. Now trying to see if he can get around to the inside. Not quite there.
Looking out the back of Jimmy McIntyre's 81 machine. And I gotta tell you, I really do like that red chrome, or I guess you'd call it red chrome, that the 81 has. New paint scheme for the 81, and that is sharp as we get our 1 to go presented by Verge. Ooh!
A little bit of contact between AJ Hamill and Al Smith, and that's going to create a huge mess in the back of the field. Jimmy McIntyre is going to go on to win this heat race, and now we're going to have to wait and see where the rest of the field stacks up across the line.
Big stack up at the end of heat race number 2. Al Smith is going to bring it home in 8th place.
Yeah, so our final standings for that heat race number 2, Jimmy McIntyre wins it. Matt McLean in 2nd. AJ Rogers comes home 3rd. 4th goes to Scott Austin. 5th, Brian Rogers Jr. Jeremy Watkins in 6th. Al Smith in 7th. AJ Hamill in 8th.
All right, guys, we're going to step away for a minute and play both national anthems represented by our that are here. Oh, wow. Kelly, why don't you take this one as we go to the anthems?
And we're going to play both national anthems of both the countries represented, both in the booth and on the track.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong hoops and bright stars through the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rackets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Welcome back to South Boston Speedway, where we're getting ready for the Eddie's Meat Market 125. Drivers just continuing on in their warm-up here, and I'd like to take a quick mention of our Arts Barbershop Quick Clip Pole Award. That goes to Chris Stump with a time of 14:316. So a fantastic time for Chris Stump, and a big thank you to Arts Barbershop for sponsoring that award. Arts Barbershop is a proud supporter of the Upstate Racing League and sponsor of Empire Racing Team of AJ Hamill and Justin McDuff. Located in Morrisville, Vermont, Art has been lowering ears and sharing his love of stock car racing with customers for over 40 years. If you're in North Central Vermont, stop in, get a trim, and tell him you too enjoy watching the Upstate Racing League on Turn 3 Racing Network.
And as you mentioned, tonight's race is the Eddie's Meat Market 125. Driver's going to have to turn 125 laps here at South Boston in this super late model. And I don't know about you, Kelly, but this was a race I'd been looking forward to for a while because I love this track, and putting the super late models on it just makes it that much better.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting race. I mean, we saw these multiple lines start to form during the heat races, so We'll have to see what that's going to kind of transfer over into our main event here.
Don't forget, guys, our Rookie of the Year sponsorship by Brian Rogers Motorsports. A lot of drivers out here trying to get that Rookie of the Year award, and it has been a stout field for the rookies. Bill Martin, a rookie. Mike Alexander, a rookie. I mean, the list can go on and on about all of our rookies.
But we can go on and on about the rookies, but got to get focused on the race here tonight because they are starting to go to grid.
That they are, and it is time to bring you our best colorful creation starting grid. Row number 1, the 13 of Guillaume Fortin and the 75 of Mike Alexander.
Row 2, we have the 2 of Steph Marinac and the 24 of Brandon Otto.
Row 3 will be the 51 of Justin Fuller and the 39 of Bill Martin.
Row 4, we got the 20 of Justin McDuff and the 98 of Chris Stump.
Row 5 will be the 15 of Matthew Barkhouse and the 70 of Dylan Canova.
Row 6, we have the 6 of Joe Schaefer on the inside and the 81 of Jimmy McIntyre on the outside.
Row 7, the 33 of Hugo Paquette and the 88 of Matt McLean.
Row 8, we've got the 72 of Andy Lambert and the 17 of AJ Rogers.
Row 9, the 90 machine of Matt Roll and the 5 of Scott Austin.
Row 10, we have the 1 of Jeremy Carpenter and the 12 of Brian Rogers Jr.
Row 11, Ty Cole in the 68, Jeremy Watkins in the 71.
Row 12, we see the 11 of Brian Hacker and the 61 of Al Smith Jr.
Row 13, Brett Bartels in the 42 and the 18 of A.J. Hamill. That is going to do it for the drivers taking to the grid here tonight.
This is quite a large field for this small racetrack, and actually quite such a big field. My computer is seeming to struggle to show all of these cars, but pace car now down and away. Green flag immediately comes out, and Guillaume Fortin races off into turn 1 with Mike Alexander to his outside.
Mike Alexander in the 75 has earned several pole awards here this season. Has yet been able to find victory lane. That 75 machine looking for his first win of the season, but Guillaume right there not letting him have it easy. But at the same time, the 75 is keeping that 13 pinched down.
And this is such an important battle early on because it's probably one of your best chances to make a pass for the lead. Once you get the lead, if a caution comes out, you have that control of the field for the restarts. The initial start goes on the green flag, but after that, and there's the caution, and I think the 75 had his nose ahead at the time of the caution, so that is huge for Mike Alexander.
Let's go to our turn 3 instant replay. The big stack up happened when the 17 got out of shape. Scott Austin gets turned sideways. The 90 of Matt Roll with nowhere to go. We'll take another look at this one off the nose of Matt Roll. And the 17 machine of AJ Rogers got loose in the corner. Scott Austin tried to turn down to avoid him, but Matt Roll was there. And just like that, we are under our first caution of the night.
We'll have to see who's going to take the claim for that one, but going back up front, as I was saying, the initial start is on the green flag. After any restart is under the control of the pole sitter, so Mike Alexander can have control of when to really jump the start here, and it's going to be a huge advantage. However, tonight I've noticed that the second the pace car comes off the racetrack, that green flag is out, so there might not be much of an opportunity for that 75 to really kind of check up the field and jump the start. The Guillaume might have an opportunity to really keep up with that 75, but this time they'll kind of reverse the roles. 75 is going to be on the inside, 13 is going to be on the outside.
And you mentioned taking the claim for that incident. I gotta think that one there would probably be chalked up as a racing incident. The 5 is Scott Austin trying to avoid the out of control 17. And as a driver myself, I tell you, you're looking out the front, and when something like that happens, your instinct is to miss the guy, maybe not necessarily have full situational awareness of what is kind of at your left rear.
And it looks like Matt Roll actually took the blame for that one, so he'll be moved to the back of the field. However, Matt Roll was already on pit road. He's still down on pit road, and I think his night is essentially over. He's now 4 laps down.
Going to be very hard to recover 4 laps here at South Boston, but the lights have gone out on the pace car. We get ready to go green flag racing once again. 125 laps the scheduled distance. We're working lap 8, green flag on lap 9, pace car down and away, and the 75 picks up the throttle.
Yeah, a fantastic jump. That 13 car is going to get the inside line. Now the rest of the field battling for the preferred line. We got the 24 and the 2 right behind these leaders, as well as the 51 and the, I believe that is the 39 battling it out right behind them, still side by side. Look, and the caution flies once more.
Caution flag coming out very quickly. Here again, let's check and see what happened. I believe the one of Jeremy Carpenter may have had an issue here, and he is going to get turned by the 68 as a little bit of a checkup happened in front of him. And the accordion effect is what's going to bring out this next caution. So 2 quick cautions here before we even get to lap 10.
And I think that's just the nature of short track racing, and just kind of this track in general, is there is not a lot of space on this racetrack, especially when you get this many cars out there. So everyone's kind of jockeying for position and trying to really make whatever move they can, especially since it's a 125 lap race. But I did the quick math before this race. I mean, if they average, judging on kind of their average lap time, if they were to have gone green from flag to flag, this race would have only been half an hour. So it may be 125 laps, but those laps disappear quickly when you're running 14-second laps.
Matt Roll in the 90 machine has rejoined the race. He is 4 laps down. Several other cars, though, from this caution are on pit road hammering out some damage. Matt Roll receiving the wave around as he is going to get one of those laps back now.
And he has to hope for these guys to keep causing cautions. But one thing that was changed in the middle of this season is if they have more than 4 cautions in a race, from the 5th caution on, it'll be single file restart. So we've got 2 cautions down already. Have 2 more cautions. We'll be going single file for the rest of the night.
So now the 13 of Guillaume gonna have to try and restart once again on the outside of Mike Alexander. And I've turned so many laps at South Boston. It is so easy to get caught up in someone else's mess that the best way to avoid it is to be the driver out front. I have a feeling a lot of these guys are trying to get there in a hurry.
These guys, they know how hard it is to pass here on this track, so they're trying to make those moves while everyone's bunched up on these restarts. And kind of what's causing these cautions is everyone trying to make the moves, but when everyone's so bunched up, there's not much space to make those moves. Green flag now out, and we're back to racing. A fantastic jump from the 75 machine. Again, Guillaume immediately moving down to that inside line. Here was Brandon Otto on that outside line, getting some decent speed up there, and now trying to take the fight to the 2 of Steph Marinac.
Marinac, our points leader, coming into this event. That 2 machine on the inside of the 24 of Brandon Otto, and Brandon hanging tough out there. And we're going to start to see these guys migrate a little bit higher as the race wears on. That inside lane going to start losing some grip as it gains temperature, and the drivers will start searching around. We'll see a lot more up high here before this night is over.
Yeah, I think that high line might also be easier on the tires. I mention it every week, but for those new to this league, these guys have to finish on the same set of tires that they start on. They are not allowed to change tires, so these guys are going to be very careful and try to make those things last as long as possible. And now Brandon Otto finally winning that battle, and another caution has come out, a wreck on the front stretch. Looks to be the Matthew Barkos in the 15 machine.
The Barkhouse going around. Let's go to our turn 3 instant replay and see where it went wrong for him. He and the 88 get together. The 12 gets smashed by the 11. But Barkhouse with a quick spin here. Everyone was able to find a way through that mess, but several other cars have gotten a little bit more damage on them.
And that seems to be almost a bit of net code there, is they made the contact look to be fine, and then basically a second after the contact is when Barkos spun out. So they did door bang, they did make contact, but I think iRacing kind of made that contact a bit worse than it actually was. I think the two of them would, if this was real life, or if net code was picture perfect, they would have been able to drive off. But that's just kind of the nature of online racing. You kind of have to deal with the net code predictions, and unfortunately that is going to come to bite that 15 machine. But what we've got to take a look at is the front end of that 11 car. I mean, he smoked the rear end of the 12 of Rogers. So not to see if that 11 maybe damaged his engine at all. I'm going to take a quick look at his race car, and that front end is just caved right in.
Looking out the back of the 12 of Brian Rogers at the 11 of Brian Hacker, you can see it has affected that nose. Hopefully it's still able to get air to the radiator. These engines get hot, they will pop in a hurry.
Yeah, so we'll have to keep an eye on the racetrack, and I think if we see any puffs of smoke, we're immediately going to be looking to see if it was from the 11 machine of Brian Hacker. I looked at Rogers' car. I mean, he had some damage in his left rear quarter and his right front, but surprisingly, it didn't look like he had any damage to his rear bumper.
So Brian Rogers escaping relatively free from that stack up. But I do want to say we have some track facts here tonight. Fueled by Verge, Brandon Otto won 2 seasons in a row. He's trying to make it his 3rd win in this series. The other driver, active driver in this Pro Series that has a win out here, is the 51 of Justin Fuller. And the Pro Series has not been here since 2018. We get ready to go green flag racing. Pace car down and away. Alexander on the throttle. Light bulbs flash, everyone taking pictures. Down into turn 1 goes this Upstate Racing League fueled by Verge Pro Series. They continue to put on a display of drivers trying to find somewhere to get those super late models.
And it looked like Guillaume did not have a great start. However, he was able to fight back on that high lane. Brandon Otto was not able to make any sort of move on the inside line. And now we're starting to see the inside line check up a lot more. So it seems like these guys, with the tires as they're starting to wear off, they need that big line. Oh, bit of a wobble from Steph Marinac. He nearly loses that car. Some great wheel work to save it. And he's going to remain in 3rd place, but now under fire from both Otto and Martin.
Bill Martin in the 39 machine working that outside lane. Otto's starting to lose some ground in that inside lane, so he is diving down below the yellow line, already trying to find some cool racing surface to get maximum grip on those tires.
And these cars going around this track are going to heat up that line very quickly, especially with how small this racetrack is. There's not a lot of time for the track to cool off between passes of these cars. Marinac now going to kind of hold off in 3rd place. Bill Martin going to solidify himself in 4th, and now Otto trying to kind of hold on to 6th as he still tries to battle on that inside line. Now with Chris Stump trying to pass him on the outside.
Chris Stump, who started in 8th place, trying to work his way forward. That 98 machine looking for his first win of the season. Using that high lane very effectively. And even though he's cleared the 24, he still hasn't dropped down.
Yeah, now dropping down, running that low line. Everyone's just kind of experimenting with different lines. You can watch a driver and he won't even run the same line 2 laps in a row. Everyone's just trying to figure out where the grip is, where the speed is, and now Mike Alexander already starting to catch up to our lap car. That 71 machine of Watkins definitely struggling out here tonight. He's running 15.2 seconds compared to the 14.8 of Mike Alexander.
So Alexander now has led for 33 laps. The 13 of Guillaume has led for 2. Those have been our 2 lap leaders so far in this race. Still have 89 laps to go. Steph Marinac in 3rd, but Bill Martin in that 39 machine looking to start applying some pressure to the 2.
And the 71 pulled off the racetrack before the leaders caught him. Now going down pit road to his box. So he got himself out of the way of the leaders as soon as he could, and guys are still screaming around this racetrack. Laps go by very quickly as the Mike Alexander was able to run a 14.888 that lap, with Guillaume Fortin with a 14.906 right behind him. So very slight advantage to Mike Alexander. That time they slowed down even more. Bill Martin and Justin Fuller both getting pretty decent lap times on that previous lap.
Checking in a little deeper in the field, the 17 of AJ Rogers running in 14th place. 15th right now is the 96 of Al Smith. The 72 of Andy Lambert right behind him as we go on board with the 96. And Al, oh well, got a little bit of trouble in his heat race, trying to dig himself out of a hole here. So far, he has made his way up into 15th.
And I think he kind of got involved in the first instant as he was making his way around the guys that were spinning. He got tapped in the rear end, which forced him to kind of just slide up into the wall. But I don't think there's too much damage to that 96. Now that battle for 3rd place is starting to heat up between Steph Marinac and Bill Martin. And Marinac made a bit of a mistake on the previous lap. Martin is right on the bumper of that 2. Now it's going to take a look to the inside. Marinac electing to stay high and hope that the high line momentum will be able to carry him enough to keep his position.
Dr. Noise himself, the 39 of Bill Martin, really working over the 2 machine, but Steph Marinac, a cool operator behind that wheel. He is not worried what that 39 is doing. Marinac gonna hit his line lap after lap until Bill Martin really stuffs his nose down in there as he's doing just now. And Marinac gonna wash up a little bit, and Martin, big wiggle off of turn 4. That is gonna slow his momentum just a bit, but he will complete the pass off of turn 2.
And now that 51 of Justin Fuller getting involved, trying to get himself underneath the 2 machine, and Marinac trying to hold off on the high lane and keep a hold of 4th place. Fuller sliding up just a little bit on the racetrack, trying to keep his car planted on the bottom line, but getting much harder now as these tires wear off, as we're already lap 48.
Started 26 cars here at the South Boston Speedway, and we do have 20 cars on the lead lap. Brett Bartel's the first car 1 lap down in that 42 machine. The 1 of Jeremy Watkins right now, I'm sorry, that is the 1 machine of Jeremy Carpenter. Last car on the lead lap, Bartels is going to pass him. They are battling for position, just on different laps.
At different laps from the rest of the field, and Fuller electing to stay back in 5th place, having to give up on his battle for Steph Marinac. Fuller is one of those guys, as we mentioned before at the start of the broadcast, he's kind of on the outside looking in along with Al Smith, and he really wants to have a good finish here tonight, with this being the penultimate race of the regular season. Scott Austin is the guy that's currently holding on to our last chase position. He's at the moment running in 17th place, so a few spots behind Al Smith and a number of spots behind Justin Fuller, so not the position he wants to be in right now.
Scott Austin going for Rookie of the Year with the Upstate Racing League. That 5 machine, as you mentioned, finding himself in 17th place. We're starting to see drivers drift up higher and higher now. That inside lane getting a little hot. So everyone looking for grip on the track, including the 72 of Andy Lambert.
Yeah, but if you look up towards the front, you still see Guillaume and Mike Alexander both staying very low, especially through turns 1 and 2 here. Kind of staying on the yellow line, not quite going below it like they kind of were at the beginning of this race, but here even through 3 and 4, they're staying mostly on that yellow line. Guillaume dipping below it just a little bit, so there still seems to be just at least a little speed underneath there.
So the 75 continuing to lead, has led for 54 laps and counting. The 13 trying to take it away from him. Guillaume has a 1.2 second lead, well, a gap over Bill Martin in the 39.
And it does look like Guillaume's got some speed. We're seeing him kind of surge in these corners, and it does start to look like that 13 might be faster than the 75, but the thing is, it's one thing to catch someone, it's another thing to pass them. As speaking of passing, just behind them, it looks like the 2 of Steph Marinak again having to try to defend against that 51 of Justin Fuller. He is able to hold off that position for the time being, but see if that 51 is going to be able to mount another attack. You're looking back up at the front. Guillaume still trying to chase down that 75. As we tick on to lap 61, I'd like to take a special mention to Dan Dubuque, one of our league's founding members who sadly crossed life's finish line a couple weeks prior. Dan's career in the Upstate Racing League spanned the second highest amount of starts at 97, consisting of a single top 5, 33 top 10s, and a best points finish of 5th. Dan was with Al from the very beginning and is truly missed as a friend, racer, and supporter. We race in honor of his memory every week from here on out.
Checking in on some action a little bit deeper in the field, the 17 machine of A.J. Rogers finds himself in 14th spot. Just in front of him is the 88 of Matt McLean, and then the 11 of Brian Hacker. And the 17 has gotten into the wall at some point. You can see the right front has been damaged, but for South Boston, that's pretty much par for the course.
Yeah, we're gonna have to take a look back at this battle for 4th once again. Justin Fuller trying to look to the inside of Steph Marinak, but Marinak able to run that outside line just faster than that 51 can run the inside. And we're seeing the leaders running that inside line, but at the same time, they're able to track out all the way to the wall, and the 51 gets to the inside of the 2. He can't track out all the way, and that just kills his corner exit speed, and that's what's allowing that 2 to keep ahead. And he's running just a fantastic lineup there, and now he's got a bit of a follower. Chris Stump, seeing what that 2 is able to do, is starting to follow in his tire marks there. Now running a little bit higher to maybe kind of try to get out of the way of that 51 as he goes for another attack on the 2.
Marinak in 4th, Fuller 5th, Stump in 6th. Right behind them is the 24, Brandon Otto. He is in 7th place. 8th right now going to Joe Schaefer. 9th, Justin McDuff in the 20 machine. And McDuff really trying to work over the 6 of Schaefer. But again, he's just not able to make something happen coming up off the corner. McDuff really rolls through the middle, but Schaefer rolling a little bit higher on, through the corner, is able to carry some more speed down the straightaway.
Yeah, now look at the 98 of Chris Stump looking to the inside of the 51, nearly making contact there as you get a little close to each other. Backing off from the inside now as that 98 is maybe just kind of probing this this racetrack a little bit, trying to figure out where that speed is, where you can make the pass. And I think a lot of these guys are struggling to find where you can make that pass. As there's a way to run quickly, and a way to make a move. But here we got the leaders dealing with some lap traffic. We've got one machine, and that's allowed Guillaume Fortin to almost take a peek to the outside of the 75. And actually kind of surprised we haven't seen Guillaume try to make a pass on the outside just yet.
Big wiggle off of 2 by Alexander. Guillaume really putting the pressure on the 75, but so far Mike Alexander has not blinked. He continues to lead and racking up. All of these laps have allowed him to secure leading the most laps here tonight.
Look how close that 13 is running behind the 75. Now trying to take a look again to the inside. He wants to make the pass on the inside, and I think this is just some fantastic car control from both of them, because no, as I say that, bit of a contact between the 75 and 13. They're both able to gather it, keep their positions, but this now brings Bill Martin into the fold as he's going to now take a peek to the outside of that 13 machine.
So Bill Martin really closed the gap quickly there, and just like that, it is a 3-car battle for the race lead, as we're looking at 49 laps to go here at South Boston.
And the 75, Mike Alexander, he just has to keep his cool, keep his focus. That 13 machine is just filling his rear view mirror, and that last tap there that 13 gave him might kind of rattle him a little bit, but so far Mike Alexander still keeping a good pace, keeping a steady and consistent line, and Guillaume just trying to go lower and lower. It's really surprising. I mean, the rest of the field, we've seen them go higher up the racetrack. Guillaume's still ducking underneath that yellow line, and he's kind of the only one we've seen do that.
So we have a 3-car battle for the race lead. We have another 3-car battle for a 4th spot. That is Steph Marinac, Justin Fuller, and Chris Stump. So these positions all up for grabs, and everyone fighting tooth and nail for them. But Fuller in the 51 machine still trying to find a way around the 2 of Steph Marinac. That battle has been going on for several laps. And then as we look a little bit further in the field, you can see that the 81 of Jimmy McIntyre trying to find a way around the 5 of Scott Austin. A little bit of a gap there between those two, as Scott Austin now coming up on the 17 of AJ Rogers.
Now, Scott Austin, a few minutes ago, we talked about him being in 17th place. He's able to make his way up to 15th, which was extremely important because it allowed him to get around Al Smith, which is one of the guys that's trying to pass him in the point standings. However, the big challenge is for him to get enough points to keep ahead of Justin Fuller, who's running all the way up in 5th place while battling for 4th.
Brian Rogers in the 12 machine. Right now he is battling with the 42 of Brett Bartels. Brett is still 1 lap down as he is going to make a move on the 12. Brett trying to get back to the lead lap. He has a long way to go to make it happen, but he continues to pass cars, and he is trying to outrun our race leader, Mike Alexander.
Yeah, he's definitely going to have that 75 machine in his rear view now. Oh, bit of a slide from that 42 as he gets loose on corner exit. That's something that these cars are just generally known for, because they've got quite a bit of power in them. If you put that power down too aggressively on corner exit, that back end will step out, and you do it once, it starts to heat up the tires, and it's a lot easier to do it again. And this time the 42 going to stay high, stay out of the way, and allow the leaders. Oh, a little bit of a wobble from him again, as now as he goes high, he's actually going way too high up the racetrack, and he's getting into the marbles, and that's killing the grip that he's already struggling for.
So the 42 moving out of the leader's way, it will put him 2 laps down. We do have 18 cars on the lead lap. Last car on the lead lap is the 72 of Andy Lambert, and the leaders are starting to close in on him as we have 36 laps to go.
And Guillaume still putting the pressure on Alexander. That 13 machine completely filling up the rear view mirror of the 75, but Mike Alexander paying him no mind, keeping focused on hitting his marks. And it's really a 3-car battle, but none of these guys are really making a move. And starts to make me think, like, what is Guillaume gonna do in the later stages of this race to win this? I know he's not gonna be content just going for second when he's this close to getting his first win in this league. You have to maybe wonder, is he gonna try a bump and run? He made contact with Alexander earlier, but immediately got off the gas, didn't want to pass him that way. So we'll have to see what the 13's got in store. Maybe he's just waiting for these laps to tick down so he can make his move, and the 75 doesn't have time to mount a counterattack.
Bill Martin sitting in third, watching this battle between first and second place. And it looks like the 13 of Guillaume starting to fall back a little bit off of the back bumper of Alexander as our top three spread out. I think that's the furthest they've been apart for since the restart.
Taking a look back at our battle for fourth, looks like things have changed a little bit while we were talking about the front. Justin Fuller was able to get around Steph Marinac finally, and Chris Stump actually lost a lot of ground between them. He was right on the bumper of Fuller when we last took a look at them, but now dropped way back, so maybe had a bit of a bobble while he was driving off the corner and lost a bit of ground. So now he's got a lot of ground to try to make up and get himself back into that hunt for a top 5 position.
So Marinac rounding out your top 5 for the moment. Justin McDuff in the 20 machine. He has clean track in front of him, relatively speaking, and that means he is able to lay down pretty much laps without worrying about what's going on around him. But the car behind him, that is the 6 of Joe Schaefer in 8th place, and Joe is having to deal with the 24 Brandon Otto.
Yeah, Otto started up towards the front, looked pretty strong early on, but encountered a bit of problems, has moved his way to the back just a little bit. Now battling with Schaefer, who started 11th, has already moved up to 8th, and I'm sure he wants to get himself even further up the field, but currently at the moment he's got to deal with Brandon Otto. I'm sure Schaefer just wants to focus on going after Justin McDuff, but with Otto this close, he's got to at least pay him some sort of attention and look to see where that 24 goes. But both of them at this moment running that same high line. Otto kind of taking a peek to the inside, now going to dive all the way down the racetrack and try to make a move on that 6 car.
Otto just not able to get the run off the corner to match the 6. That 6 staying committed to the high line here, and Otto a bit of a wiggle off of 4. That's going to cost him some momentum. He's going to have to remount his charge here once again. And man, I'll tell you, 10th place, that 70 machine of Dylan Canova, he's just watching this go on, and he's in a comfortable spot right now.
And he's almost on his own little island right now. He's a 1.5 seconds behind Otto, and he's a full second ahead of Paquette. So he's just kind of got his own clear track to work with. He can run any lane that he wants, whatever line he wants, and doesn't have to worry about anyone else right now. And we're seeing him kind of experiment here as he's running different lines, trying to figure out what line will allow him to start closing that gap to Brandon Otto. Is still 1.5 seconds, and now Paquette actually gaining about 1/10 of a second over these past few laps. That time though, Canova able to run the faster time and even able to close up a little bit on Otto. Oh, sorry, gonna have to take a look at the leaders now. They've got a lot of traffic to deal with in front of them, and that's gonna allow Guillaume Fortin to take a peek on the high side as the leader of Mike Alexander trying to get around Al Smith right now.
Alexander diving down to the inside of Al Smith. Al trying to stay high, but Al still has to run his race. He wants to get around the 5 of Scott Austin, but now 3 wide off the corners. Guillaume really trying to take advantage of that lap traffic, and now Guillaume gonna have the momentum off the corner.
And we've seen that outside line be the stronger line throughout this race when these guys are battling side by side. And now Guillaume going to just about clear Alexander off of that corner, but there's still a lot of lap traffic ahead of them. Guillaume Fortin now getting clear, taking full control of the race lead, and Now with just only a few laps to go, he's going to try to run away from that 75, and he just has to focus on cutting through this traffic as effectively as possible, as the 5 and 17 nearly get into each other.
Scott Austin running in 16th spot, battling with the 17 of AJ Rogers. Austin trying to put this 5 machine into the chase, and he has got to get rolling. That 17 though in his way, and here comes the race leaders. So Scott Austin trapped between a rock and a hard spot.
And Guillaume trying to take the high line, run around these 2 lap cars, but now he's got 1 lap car on the bottom, 1 lap car on the top. He's got a roadblock in front of him, and now that 75 is going to have an opportunity to try to make a move, but at the same time, he doesn't have anywhere to go. Guillaume trying to look at the middle, but nowhere to go. 17 into the wall. That's going to collect our race leaders.
3 race leaders get collected, but somehow Guillaume gets through it. Bill Martin got involved, and so did Mike Alexander. And Alexander still pointed in the wrong direction, waiting for a chance to turn that car around. Finally gets it done. Let's go to our turn 3 instant replay and watch this all happen as lap traffic battling side by side. The 17 of Rogers going to get into the wall. That is going to stack everyone up behind him, with the big loser being the 75 of Alexander.
Yeah, Alexander ended up nosing into the wall fairly hard, and Guillaume was kind of part of that initial contact, but that initial contact kind of pushed him out of the way of the rest of this wreck. And now Guillaume actually getting waved around the pace car. Those are the rest of the field here. It looks like everyone's getting waved around the pace car. It's a little bit of confusion with race control here, but from what I can tell, Guillaume Fortin is in control of this race. He is the race leader.
So with 8 laps to go, we are now going to be working our 4th caution of the night. We have had 4 lead changes between 2 drivers. Mike Alexander has led for 107 laps. Guillaume has led for 10. And now it looks like drivers trying to figure out where they need to be in relation to the pace car.
And Guillaume now catching the pace car once again. And a couple of the drivers went past it, thinking they were supposed to go around it, but having to lock up behind it. One of the things with all this confusion of catching the pace car is it killed quite a few laps actually. So we're going to be down underneath 5 to go once we go back to green flag racing. So that's definitely going to work out to Guillaume's advantage. I think the pace car, the lights on the pace car just went out now, so we're going to get back to racing. Guillaume Fortin on the inside and Bill Martin on the outside, so Guillaume's going to have to get a fantastic start, because if Martin has even a nose to his outside, Guillaume might be in trouble.
Lights are out on the pace car down and away, green flag coming out. 5 laps to go here in the Eddie's Meat Market 125. And Guillaume got the restart he needed. He is going to clear Bill Martin. Here comes the 51 of Justin Fuller.
Fuller actually getting some great speed. Oh, contact between the 98 and the 2. The 2 goes sideways hard into the wall. Caution is going to wave. That may end the race. Crashing still happening on the front stretch. Guillaume Fortin may have just won this race.
Let's go to our turn 3 instant replay to see what happened. You can see the 2 gets turned, the 20 climbing the wall, and then it is a log jam from there. Everyone getting tight on space. Jimmy McIntyre in that 81 machine getting spun as he goes into turn 1. And again, the caution flag coming out. And the 13 now has 2 laps to go in our scheduled distance.
And even if it is a 1-lap shootout that we get, it's a single file restart. I mean, even if it's a 1-lap shootout, this is Guillaume's race at this point. So I think that 13 machine may have just won this race off of a couple of lucky breaks, but that's not to discredit the amount of work he has put in over this race. He was all over the bumper of that 75 machine the entire race distance. So Guillaume has been the fast driver to beat tonight. And as we cross onto the last lap, the lights on the pace car will stay on. So your race winner going to be Guillaume Fortin for the first time in the Upstate Racing League.
The 13 picking up that win. I tell you, he's going to be excited for that as he comes across the start finish line. Justin Fuller going to bring it home in second. Third going to the 39 of Bill Martin. Whew. I'll tell you, this was South Boston at its best.
Yeah, definitely an exciting race. Guillaume Fortin, after crossing the line, it's been a struggle for him. He's come very close number of times, but this is finally his race win. And speaking of some good drivers, some good finishes, Justin Fuller, as we mentioned, was one of the guys on the outside looking in after missing a few races. Coming home in second, that's going to help him solidify his chase chances.
All right, guys, as we step away to set up our Austin Designs post-race show, no one go anywhere. We'll be back to talk to our podium finishing drivers.
Welcome back to the South Boston Speedway as we just finished up the Eddie's Meat Market 125. And I'm going to be caught up here with our race winner, Guillaume Fortin. Guillaume, first time ever you're on victory lane. I know it's been a bit of a struggle for you. You've come close many times, but how does it feel to finally get that race win?
Oh man, I don't think I have the word to describe that. It's an awesome feeling after 4 years in this league to finally be able to win with all those guys. I think this year it's the most competitive uh, competitor we have, so I'm pretty happy to be able to finally have my first win.
And things were very close between you and the 75 of Mike Alexander for the longest time before that bit of a incident you guys had. I mean, as the laps are kind of ticking down, what was your initial plan to try to get around that 75 machine?
Yeah, initially I was just waiting for him to do a mistake, but I saw really fast that he wasn't going to make one. He ran the bottom line so good tonight, so I wasn't able to make a pass there. So when we caught up to like a bunch of lap car, I knew it was time for me to make the best out of it and try to stay on top and make the pass. So I went for it and it worked.
Well, the race win here tonight is definitely going to solidify you in the chase with only 1 week left to go in the regular season. And does your focus now shift now that you've got that race win in your pocket? Does your focus now shift towards the championship?
Yeah, right now I'm really focused at getting top 5 and top 3 every week and being as consistent as I've been with like the last 5 races. So I'm just concentrating the most and I'll be ready for the chase when it starts.
Well, Guillaume, thank you for coming out and talking to us. Congratulations again on your race win. But before we let you go, is there anyone you'd wish to thank for your win here tonight?
Yeah, first of all, I have to thank Al Smith for putting the league up, and it's really fun. And I've been here for 4 years now, so it's pretty fun to be here and racing with good guys. And I want to also thank Rumar Vinyl Design for sponsoring me this year. And this win is for them, and I'm really happy to put their car in victory lane.
All right, well, that was Guillaume Fortin, driver of the number 13 machine and our race winner here in the Eddie's Meat Market 125. Guillaume, thank you for coming and talking to us, and hopefully we hear from you again next week.
Thank you, and yeah, hopefully I'll be there next week.
Okay, moving on now, I believe KR is going to catch up with the driver of the number 51 machine.
That is Justin Fuller, who brings it home in second place. Justin, you came into tonight 4 points below the cutoff to make the chase and hoping for a solid run. You were battling in around fifth place, and then a couple cautions there late. You were able to take advantage of it and come home in second. Tell us what was going on out there from your perspective.
Yeah, just this track's really tight. It's hard to pass. I feel like I was reeling those guys in. I don't think I would have caught them kind of like last week, but I felt like I was definitely the fastest on the long run there again. Um, but it just this place is just so track position sensitive and line sensitive that it's so hard to make up time. I feel like it took. I know it didn't take this long, but I feel like it took 100 laps for me to get by Stefan. And I know it's not his job to just let me by. So we had a nice little battle there for quite some time. But overall, it was a great race. South Boston, we had what, a solid 80 lap green flag run there. So um, pretty good.
That 51 machine definitely gained the 4 points needed to be above the cutoff with one race to go in the regular season. What's your outlook on next week to try and make sure you're one of the 10 drivers in the chase?
Well, quite honestly, I'm not even sure if I'm going to be here next week. So that's really all depending on whether I'm going down to Daytona for the 500 or not. Because if I am, I don't want to take a spot away from the chase to somebody because I'm not going to be here for the first chase race. So if I go to Daytona, I'm not going to be here next week, so I don't do that. So if I've missed 3 races, I've used 1 provisional. So being right on that cutoff, I know if I would ran every race, I would easily be up in there. But yeah, that's not what I'm here for. I love driving this car. I love short track racing. It's a lot of fun. And well, if I'm here next week, you'll know that I'm not going to Daytona, and I'll be fully trying to run for this championship. And yeah, so hopefully we see you next week, and hopefully we don't see you next week. I don't really know how to feel about that. So yeah.
Decisions. Well, Justin, tonight you bring it home in second place. Any shout outs or thank yous you'd like to give for that finish?
Yeah, I want to thank Al Smith and all the admins here at the Upstate Racing League for putting this on. We had 28 cars here tonight on South Boston, and that's no easy feat. I want to thank Eddie's Meat Market for sponsoring this specific race. I want to thank Verge Currency for sponsoring the series. I want to thank you guys for putting on the broadcast. I'm sure I'll probably watch parts of it tomorrow at work. I want to thank everybody that raced, everybody that watched. I want to thank all my teammates at Aftermath Motorsports, as well as Nemesis Lab for sponsoring me with Sean Yoder, Tim's Corner Motorsports, Trey Edson Designs, and gmercer.com. Yeah. If I see you next week, I'll see you next week. If not, I hope everybody has a great race trying to get into the chase at Langley. I know that'll be a tough one too.
All right, that is your second place finisher, none other than the 51 of Justin Fuller. And Kelly, I believe you've caught up with our third place finisher, Bill Martin.
Yeah, caught up now with Bill Martin. And Bill, you were kind of always there with the that 3-car battle for the lead. I mean, what was kind of your, before everything kind of got thrown up in the air and a little bit mixed up, what was kind of your plan there sitting as the car in the third spot?
To wait for the first two cars to crash into each other.
Well, you did get that, but unfortunately didn't quite fall your way. But now looking at the standings, I mean, you're way up there over the chase. You could probably almost even take the next week off. But what kind of will be your strategy for next week at Langley if you kind of have that point buffer?
Next week's at Langley.
Next week is at Langley.
My plan is to not drive Langley then.
Well, if you got that much of a point buffer, I guess you really do have that option then. Maybe a bit of a start and park, take the last place points, and maybe we'll see. We'll kind of look ahead then. So the first race of the chase is gonna be at ISM Raceway. I mean, gonna be ISM Raceway under the lights. And what's really gonna be the strategy to start out the chase? You're gonna try to come out strong and go for a race win, or are you gonna play it a bit more conservative and kind of try to do a long game of consistent finishes?
I'm going to say this publicly so that maybe it'll get changed. But the qualifying system in this, with the way the car works, is bad. I'm going to tell you why. Anybody who qualifies 8th, 7th, 6th is going to win the race. They just are. There needs to be an incentive or a bigger invert. So my plan is I'm just going to, do the best that I can in qualifying and race, and whatever happens, happens. I don't really have a plan. Just go out and drive the car. This car is very, very situational. It's really hard to pass at just about every single track because the way the tire and the physics are currently functioning, which is not at all. So it's really luck of the draw unless you want to try to play the invert game, but that's that's sketchy to try too, because you could end up 9th, you could end up 11th, and then you're just gonna finish in a poor spot. Passing sucks, and just the way the system is set up, it kind of favors somebody qualifying a little poorer, and I don't like that. I'm just gonna keep doing what I do. I'm gonna go try to go fast. The race is gonna start. I'm gonna try to go fast still. Then I'm gonna burn the tires off like a dummy, and then probably finish like 2nd or 5th or 100th or something. I don't know. That's what I did the last 2 weeks. I was trying to catch up to the leader, and it's like, oh, I drove way too hard. Oops, that's all right. It's good to see him get a win. I was pretty excited for him. However, I paid AJ Rogers to cause that crash. Totally paid him for it. And Alexander screwed everything up by coming back across the track. Everything was working out perfect. Now I'm just out a bunch of money and a nose. My steering was all messed up at the end. I'm sad. That was my last car. So from this point on, I'm only going to be driving broken cars because I'm out of money.
All right, well, we'll see if you can get the hammers out and maybe flatten out that front end a little bit for, well, I guess maybe not next week if you're going to take Langley off, but you got a lot of time in between now and February 13th, so see if you can get that nose straightened out. But you had a good third place finish here tonight, and before we let you go, who do you wish to thank for your run here tonight?
Well, not AJ, obviously. I don't know. Thanks to you guys putting on a fabulous broadcast. Thanks to the ever-loving runner of this league and his gorgeous car for making a league that I can run in and not have to make setups for, which is nice to be able to show up and just race. It's awesome. Everything's run really nice. Good time. Thanks to Three Musketeers for being a really tasty treat. Thanks to this water bottle for keeping me hydrated. Thanks to this shelf above my desk for not making all the stuff fall on my desk. I don't know. I'll probably drive next week, by the way. I'm just not gonna like at 1 second of it.
All right, well, hopefully we do see you again next week at Langley, Bill, and thank you so much for coming out and talking to us. That's Bill Martin, driver of the number 39 machine and our third place finisher here tonight. KR?
I really don't know how to follow up that interview. That has to be the best one so far of the year.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be up there for interview of the year, but we are going to have to move along, and this is the second to last race in the chase. Now, next week will be the final race of the second last race before the chase. Final race of the regular season next week for the Best Colorful Creations Throwback 150. So that's definitely a race to be excited for, because these guys always go all out with their throwback schemes. Some of them have some very interesting stories. You're going to see not only some old NASCAR schemes, but you'll see schemes from guys that just say like, oh, this was the, my uncle that ran at some small short track when I was growing up as a kid. So there's some fantastic stories behind some of those schemes, and I'm excited to see the stories and the paint schemes that are brought out next week.
Well, I'm with you on that, but let's go ahead and go through our race results. Your race winner, Guillaume Fortin in the 13 machine, picking up his first win ever. As you heard, he's been toiling around for 4 years, finally gets that coveted win. Justin Fuller finishing in second. His future up in the air. Tough decisions to make. Daytona 500, run for a championship, but we'll find out next week. Make sure you tune in for that. Bill Martin in the 39 coming home in third, up for grabs as the most entertaining interview of the year. Chris Stump coming home in a fourth place in that 98 machine, and rounding out your top 5 is the 6 of Joe Schaefer.
Coming home in 6th is the 70 of Dylan Canova. Brandon Otto finishes in 24th. Mike Alexander led a majority of the race, but caught in a late race incident, finishes in 8th. Hugo Paquette in 9th, and Matt McLean finishes out our top 10.
11th place going to the 5 of Scott Austin. 12th, the 11 of Brian Hacker. 13th will be the 2 of Steph Marinac. Andy Lambert in the 72 machine coming home in 14th place, and Jimmy McIntyre finishing in 15th.
16th, we see Justin McDuff. 17th goes to Jeremy Carpenter, our last car on the lead lap. Brian Rogers Jr. finishes 18th, 1 lap down. Al Smith Jr. finishes 19th, and 20th is Brett Bartels, 2 laps down.
21st going to AJ Rogers. 22nd going to AJ Hamill. 23rd, Matthew Barkhouse. Jeremy Watkins finishing 24th. 25th, Ty Cole. 26th, the 90 of Matt Roll. 27th and 28th with a did not start. That's Brian Jones and Jay Dubuque. And Kelly, next week, final race in the regular season. A lot still up in the air. 10 drivers going to be qualifying for the chase. And I think it's a perfect time to have some throwback paint schemes. Maybe let some of the drivers, show their creativity and maybe not get so wrapped up in trying to make the chase and just go out and have some fun racing.
I mean, we say that. I mean, and for a majority of the field, it will be just have fun racing. But there's going to be those guys that are on the cushion that race is going to be, every position is going to matter for them. So we're going to see that at least a few of these drivers. I'm not going to know for sure which ones until we sort out the points here, but there's going to be at least maybe 3 or 4 drivers that we're going to see probably just go all out in that race at Langley.
All right, guys, that is going to wrap it up for us here at the Turn 3 Racing Network. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is KR Stolfus. Kelly, as always, thank you so much for joining me. And y'all, have a good night, and we will see you next week.